So the Bible actually says that the earth is flat. So the flat earthers are right, except they're 100% wrong because the earth isn't flat. Let me explain. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. All right, so the book of Genesis has a bunch of words in it that a bunch of people just completely gloss over because they don't know what they mean. And those words are some of the weirdest parts of the whole thing. So the book of Genesis begins by saying that the earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the earth, and the Spirit of God hovered over the waters, or hovered over the deep. And that's the beginning. That's the very first word that begins this whole way of understanding that the earth was flat. Let me show you. All right, so here's how it works. They believed the earth was flat. This is what everybody believed in that part of the world at the time. And they also believed that the earth was actually on top of water. There's like pillars. And this was sometimes called the deep. Sometimes it was called Sheol. And sometimes it was called the waters. And that's what we get here in the book of Genesis, that it was this part of the world that existed, right? That there was this. And this part, this was water, and it really like personified chaos. And this is really important because there's a metaphor that's happening here that's deeper than whether or not you believe the earth is flat, right? But that there was chaos and that God was bringing order out of chaos. All right, so that's the idea. It says the Spirit of God hovering over the waters, just this part. And then God creates the heavens and the earth. And says that God creates light, which is weird because he doesn't create sun until the third day, but whatever. Then God creates land. And then it says that God creates the firmament. It's called different things in different translations. Some translations call it the vault. So back to our cool little drawing. God is creating this thing that is called the firmament. We'll just abbreviate it here. And it is like a dome, you can imagine a glass dome, that it says separates the waters. There's waters above, that's why the sky is blue, right? And from the waters below. Remember we talked about this, the deep, where it all began. And the separation allows for air to exist, right? For people to breathe and all that kind of stuff. And the way that they understood it, this isn't in the Bible, but this is the sort of cultural understanding in this part of the world, was that there were little windows in it. And when the windows were open, guess what happened? It rained, right? It's all very logical when you understand that they didn't get all of the science stuff. And it continues like this sort of throughout the Bible, or not throughout the Bible, throughout this part of the Old Testament, because, and this is what's important, this is how that part of the world understood the earth to be, right? It was flat, it was on top of water. What was below that? We don't know, right? It's water all the way down or whatever. And above that was this clear dome, and above that was also water. And that's how rain happened. That's why the sky was blue, all of that stuff. And it's really rather logical if you think about it without understanding the science. And here's what's interesting. So on a couple of different levels, why it can be helpful for us to understand that. When you understand that they are saying in the first chapter of Genesis that the earth is flat, it just sort of further underscores the fact that like you can't take that first chapter of Genesis to be in any way literal or in any way scientific, because if you take its literal meaning, it means the earth is flat. And we all know the earth isn't flat, okay? The earth isn't flat. The earth isn't flat. The earth isn't. Right, I've calmed myself. We know that the earth isn't flat. But besides just allowing us to let go of the idea that the first chapter is science, the other thing that I think is really helpful about it, just sort of to think about it at a deeper level of truth, it's that before God was going to communicate to them that God loved them, that they were good, and all of the things that first chapter of Genesis conveys to them, God didn't say, okay, before I tell you this, first I need to explain precipitation. Next, I need to explain orbits. I need to, that's not how it goes. There's a deeper truth here that says that God just speaks in the language that we all already know. That God doesn't require us to have pre-existing knowledge and understanding in order to engage with God. That's really helpful. It's helpful because it means wherever you are, whatever you know, God is speaking to you. God can speak to you. And there's no sort of prerequisite knowledge or understanding in order to hear and experience God. So just know that wherever you are, you can trust your experience and you can trust that God is speaking to you. Also, the earth is not flat.